Imagine a professional landscape where your career isn't just defined by your skills, but by the bizarre, high-stakes drama of the people sitting in the cubicles next to you. This is the reality for an engineer in Europe who found his LinkedIn profile at the center of a corporate tug-of-war. After leaving an American firm, an HR representative, driven by an almost obsessive need for control, called him in the dead of night to demand he delete his headshot, claiming it was company property. This wasn't about a photo, it was about the corporate ego. When the engineer casually mentioned this absurdity to his former boss, the HR rep was terminated, not as a personal vendetta, but because she had become a legal liability to the firm. Instead of a graceful exit, she chose to unleash a wave of online harassment through flying monkeys, proving that some individuals would rather burn down their entire professional reputation than admit they overstepped a boundary. The toxicity then shifts across the globe to the neon-lit nightlife of Seoul, where the lines between professional performance and personal safety become dangerously blurred. A stage performer, working tirelessly to support his family after his brother's illness, found himself targeted by Annie, the girlfriend of his own best friend. What started as inappropriate touching during a show escalated into a terrifying case of obsessive fan syndrome. Annie began stalking him, spamming his phone with delusional messages and eventually following him to his dorm, convinced they were destined to be together. The betrayal here was twofold. Annie refused to accept the word no, and the performer's best friend chose projection over reality, blaming the victim and demanding he quit his job rather than holding his partner accountable for her predatory behavior. But perhaps the most chilling example of workplace entitlement is the crusade of the corporate Karen. In a quiet office setting, a woman decided to make it her personal mission to expose a coworker's service dog as a fake. Driven by the ignorant belief that the owner was too young to be disabled, she launched a campaign of harassment that crossed into the realm of criminal endangerment. She purposely sprayed perfumes and air fresheners to trigger the owner's life-threatening heart condition, all while doxing them in toxic Facebook groups. This was a classic display of invisible disability discrimination. When HR discovered the digital paper trail of her harassment, she was fired on the spot. Her defense that she was a mother of three fell on deaf ears because being a parent does not grant anyone a license to commit biological warfare against a colleague. These narratives are a masterclass in the cycle of professional toxicity. Whether it is an HR representative drunk on perceived power, a friend who weaponizes his jealousy to threaten your income, or a coworker who views your medical necessity as a personal affront, the root cause is a fundamental lack of respect for human boundaries. We live in a world where toxic productivity is often criticized, but these stories highlight the danger of toxic entitlement. The idea that one's personal feelings should dictate another person's legal rights. You are not a villain for documenting harassment, and you're not petty for ensuring your livelihood is protected. A career is a marathon, and sometimes the most important part of the race is knowing when to let the toxic people trip over the hurdles they placed in your way. Ultimately, the silence that follows these terminations, the quiet of an office without a Karen, or the peace of a LinkedIn feed without harassment, is the ultimate reward. The performer in Seoul, the engineer in Europe, and the owner of the service dog all learned the same difficult lesson. You cannot reason with a narcissist. You can only provide the rope of their own actions and wait for them to tie the knot. Your responsibility is to your family, your health, and your integrity. If someone else's career is ruined because you spoke the truth, it was a career built on a house of cards to begin with. Stand your ground, keep your receipts, and never apologize for surviving a fire that someone else started.